13 ABC's Ashley Bornanson has the story.
Staffing shortages so bad, the Ohio National Guard coming to the aid to the Fox Run of Findlay assisted living. Former employees telling me the overworked and underpaid staff so fed up, they walked out.
Us nurses were working anywhere from 18 to 21 hours. We would reach out to management and the only response we would get was, "Oh boy, that sucks," or "Oh boy, I hate that."
Former wellness director and nurse Asia Inslee tells me her and 2 other nurses were left with no other choice but to walk out last week. She feels the extended shifts were putting themselves and the residents in danger.
So they would go hours at a time with no staff, like for about 5 or 6 hours with no nurse. So even my father-in-law is a resident there and he was not getting his medication, and there was diabetics not getting insulins because there was no nurse and nobody there in case there was an emergency.
Inslee says the exhaustion meant the nurses were in no state of mind to be giving out meds, but leaving the shift meant major consequences.
As a nurse, like, you can't leave without another nurse replacing you. That is abandonment and you can lose your nursing license for it. So we were literally stuck there until someone could replace us.
On Monday, December 20th, she says the nurses felt they had no choice, so the nursing staff walked out. We contacted the Fox Run of Findlay Assisted Living, and they told us to contact the Area Agency on Aging 3. They referred us to the Ohio Department of Aging and Health, who released this statement. It says, in part, the Ohio National Guard was able to provide several hours of support to ensure there were no lapses in care or coverage. It goes on to read, the Ohio Department of Aging will continue coordinating needed resources by working with all appropriate parties, including the facility's administration, to ensure residents have a safe and healthy place to live. A spokesperson at ODH tells me the National Guard was only needed for a short period of time. No word yet if the facility will need further assistance. We'll continue to keep you updated on air and online at 13abc.com. In Findlay, Ashley Bornanson, 13ABC, Action News.
It's one of the oldest and finest Mediterranean hotspots here in Toledo. You all know and love it. That's right. We're heading inside the kitchen of Beirut with Nas and Labib Hajar.
Marhaba. Ahlan sahla.
All right, some Turkish coffee and baklava to start. And today we're cutting up some meat to make the Beirut best, right, Nas?
Yep, so the Beirut best starts off as a USDA choice filet, and then we've got Labib cutting over here, which is going to be diced up filet tips, sauteed with lemon juice. Just filling up the pan with a vegetarian ghee. Just add salt and pepper, put some garlic. Just going to mash it up. Also, every order for the Beirut best, the garlic's mashed fresh. You're going to see him cut a fresh lemon. Squeeze it right in there.
Why is everything fresh so important to bringing all the flavors together?
They're so used to doing it the right way. In Lebanon, that's pretty much what they did. Everything came fresh from the gardens, because you're cooking for your family too, and everyone wants to impress their families. He takes a big scoop, tosses it on, kind of molds a little boat, because you're gonna notice that the Beirut best is gonna have some really good juices. Then he throws some cayenne on there. He's browning the meat a little bit, and then he's gonna add the garlic and lemon juice right at the end to kind of save the flavor. You don't want to burn the garlic. He's gonna pour it right on top of the hummus. Let the juices flow in.
Seems like a lot of Americans are learning that Mediterranean-style cooking and eating is some of the healthiest.
It is. It's actually very healthy. All the food's organic. It's really fresh. Chickpea, I mean, there's nothing really heavy to it, so you can eat a lot of it, and you know, you're not getting those big calories.
Time to try the masterpiece, the Beirut best.
All right, the best way to do this, you gotta take a piece of pita, pull it apart, kind of make a little cone, and just throw it in there. And then cheers.
Cheers. Oh my goodness.
That's my favorite.
Oh my goodness.
I've been eating this since I was a kid.
USDA quality filet, and the lemon and the garlic is perfectly infused with each other. It's really like you're eating a bite of Beirut.
Yeah, absolutely. The Beirut best.
I could eat this dish all day long, but why try one when you could try them all?
Here's our filet. Yeah, it's all hand cut. This is gonna be the best piece of the filet. It's gonna have the most marbling. Pretty much gonna melt in your mouth.
It literally melts in your mouth like butter. I think we need to try some lamb.
Lamb chops are gonna be all hand cut and have a little marinade on them, and then charred and grilled.
I'm allowed to just eat it like Fred Flintstone?
It's the only way to do it.
Do you want to be the Wilma to my Fred?
Let's do it. Cheers.
Oh my gosh, that is perfect.
And the arrayas is my favorite dish because it has the mixture of meat and bread, onions, parsley, And the lamb.
That lamb is just so tender. And if you don't like meat, have no fear. We've got some vegetarian options, the sauteed mushrooms, grape leaves, but this is just out of 10,000 that the team here makes every single week.
Yeah, we've got lamb, rice, wrapped it up, and then it's delicious to eat with pita bread.
Last but not least, the dish that looks too good to eat, but folks, we're going to. This is the fatouche.
Spices on there, toast some pita bread.
Oh, I dare say, I think everyone should order the fatouche with every meal because it's a great just burst of the garden.
It does, and it complements a lot of the dishes. A lot of people eat it with their hummus.
All right, guys, Beirut is open from Monday through Saturday for lunch and dinner here on Monroe Street. I'm Ashley Bourne-Hanson, and that's how you dine in the 419.
Washington, D.C. worked to hold President Biden accountable for his promise on forgiving student loans. Local graduates are now breathing a sigh of relief on the continued pause in payment requirements. 13 ABC's Ashley Bourne-Hanson diving into how graduates can best take advantage of the extended moratorium.
I think that the people in Toledo have across the board stopped paying on all federal student loans for the past 20 months.
20 months and counting. That's how long student loan payments have been put on pause. And many local graduates are now breathing a sigh of relief at President Biden's recent announcement. That January 31st moratorium expiration will now be pushed to May 1st, giving borrowers an additional 90 days of frozen balances with no interest or required payments on most federal student loans.
I have not been paying, and hearing that there's another grace period and pause was wonderful.
Bowling Green graduate Rachel Hartman says even on an income-based repayment plan, her monthly payments were astronomical.
Selfishly, I'm like, oh, thank goodness. I can wait a little bit longer. I can have a few more months to panic and, figure out a game plan.
So we were ready for doing the repayment of it, but it allows us to support other things that we have in our lives right now that were unexpected until last year, the year and a half.
Findlay resident Jeff Hoffman and his wife used the time to tackle more pressing expenses. Kaufman, who now holds a PhD, says they will now be ready to take on their anticipated $2,000 monthly payments coming in May. But the question remains, should students start paying the loans back anyway right now?
I would hold tight before starting to make payments.
Sit tight and save your money. This is the advice from Toledo consumer rights attorney Scott Siolek.
So that when the loan payments become due again, they can have enough of a savings so they can continuously make all the payments on time going forward.
Meanwhile, Siolek says the best thing borrowers can do is consolidate their loans and choose the lowest payment option possible.
So if you get one of these very small monthly payment plans, you could always pay more on top of that if you can afford to.
Siolek says the biggest thing you want to avoid, a default.
When it goes into default and they have to ship it off to a debt collector, they add 18% on the balance.
Siolek also advises not to put life on hold just to pay off student loans faster.
Like a lot of people are saying, I won't have children, I won't get married until I have my student loans paid off. I think that is short-sighted.
In Toledo, Ashley Bourne-Hanson, 13 ABC, Action News.
Large buildups of trash on the east side causing some upset neighbors in the community and potentially dangerous situation as well. 13 ABC's Ashley Bourne-Hanson has the story all new at 6.
I'm in the alley between Western and Gibbons, where this time Friday there was a heaping mound of trash and bulk buildup. The residents tell me had been growing for months with no signs of stopping or being cleaned up, putting their children at risk from this hazardous environment.
Somebody gets bit, who's going to be responsible?
TJ Reese Collins lives in South Toledo with his wife and 2 daughters who love to play outside. But when a large rat infestation in his backyard almost resulted in his 4-year-old being bitten, he took a closer look.
Well, come to find out, there was a nest of rats underneath her playhouse. So we had followed back the traces and then found out they were coming from the pile of garbage down the street.
Collins said he made calls to Republic Trash Services, but says after several weeks of back and forth calls, he was then advised to contact the city.
It's just a matter of, is that kind of designated alley one that we pick up in or not? I tell you, for the most part, we do not pick up in most alleys.
Collins says after weeks of calling Engage Toledo, there was still no luck on the trash removal.
I called back yesterday. They told me that it would take 14 days. I explained to the lady that it had already been a few weeks, and she had told me that It goes by area code. They're in the 05 area code right now. They'd be in the 09 by the end of the summer.
And hours after our interview, Republic Services came out to check the scene, while simultaneously, city crews were out removing all the debris. City spokesman Ignacio Messina says they received a call about the site on April 14th, and that typically when a pickup is called in, crews are out on the scene within a week, but that it is possible that criminal dumpers are continuously leaving debris. They see this often at habitual dumping locations. The city warns all dumpers that there are cameras that are being set up at multiple locations. They are not releasing the whereabouts of these cameras, but there is an effort to arrest and prosecute any illegal dumpers. If you would like to report a dumping near you, you can go to 13abc.com for all those details. Reporting from Toledo, Ashley Bornanson, 13ABC Action News.